Fantastic. Hey, thank you guys for joining us today for our ILIA public webinar. Today we're going to be talking about some new agent essentials presented by the Independent Life Insurance Agent Association. We really thank you guys for coming out today and taking time out on a Friday to listen to what we have to say. Today we're going to be, I'm sorry? Today we're going to be going over the things that new agents need early on in their career to get the ball rolling. Down the list real quick, just sort of set an agenda for today's webinar. We're going to be talking about contracting, the organizational skills agents will need, the support agents should be on the lookout for, business and marketing plans, and essential products for new agents. The first thing we want to talk about for new agents is getting contracted. When we talk about getting contracted, we're saying you need to sign a contract either with an IMO or directly with an insurance company that allows you to sell products for a specific company. For instance, West Coast Life. You can't just go out and sell West Coast Life insurance. You have to sign a contract with West Coast Life or with an IMO partnered with West Coast Life to sell their products. So for every company you want to sell products for, you'll need a contract with that company. I want to take a moment to talk about the terminology we're going to be using here. When we say IMO, it stands for Insurance Marketing Organization. IMOs are large organizations that distribute these sales contracts for insurance carriers. You can't always go directly to an insurance carrier and get a contract. For instance, Ohio National, you can walk right up to them and say, I want to sell Ohio National products, and they'll give you a contract. North American, you'll have to go to an IMO in order to get a sales contract. You'll probably hear the phrases IMO, FMO, MGA, BGA. They're all very slightly different. They all have very slightly different meanings, but for the purposes of this webinar, whenever you hear an acronym like that, just think of it as someone in your upline, someone between you and the insurance company that gives you a contract to sell insurance products. Now, it's important to remember when there's someone between you and the insurance company, they're getting a cut of everything you sell. So be aware of that. Be aware of the fact that the commissions you make are going in part to support them, and that means you're paying their bills and you deserve their service and support. Okay, so when you're shopping for contracts, you need to look around. There's several things you want to look for. Number one, does the contract have an upfront release? This means if you're partnered with an IMO, an FMO, BGA, whatever, and the relationship between you guys goes south, can you get out of the contract right away? If not, you need to look elsewhere. You don't ever want to be caught in a situation where you're leashed or tied down to an IMO for the rest of your life. Make sure you've got an upfront release, because if the relationship goes bad, if you find out they're raking you over on commissions, if you find out their public image is going bad and you don't want to go down with the ship, you need to have a back door to get out. I've been with my personal IMO for quite a while now, but I still have an upfront release from him. I know Rick's on the call here, and he'll tell you the same thing. Every IMO he's with, he's got a release letter sitting ready to go, just in case something goes wrong. We're all in business to make money, and even though relationships and loyalty in the business are important, you need to have a way out. The second thing you need to look for is, does the IMO require assignment? Assignment is when you sign a piece of paper that says, if I make a commission, I will agree to assign that commission to the IMO. In other words, when the commission is paid out on a policy you sell, the check isn't written to you, it's written to somebody else, and they're responsible for paying for you. You should not be okay with that. Assignment is 99 times out of 100 a terrible, terrible thing. Don't assign your commissions. If you're with an IMO that requires assignment for any reason, they better have an excellent reason for it. And there's only one I can think of, and we'll get to in just a minute. But 99 times out of 100, if an IMO requires assignment, you need to look elsewhere. Number 3, are you the agent of record on the business you're writing? When you put an application into an insurance company, and let's again take West Coast Life for an example. You put an application into West Coast Life. If you call them up and you say, hey, who's the agent on John Smith, policy number ZT10 whatever, are they going to say, Well, you're the agent, Nick Perry. Or are they going to say, your IMO is the agent of record? You always want to make sure that your name is on the agent of record slot. If it's not your name, you don't own that business. And that means if you leave the IMO, they're under no obligation to continue paying you commissions. So these are the three big things, and these are the three big things that define whether or not you're an independent agent. Upfront release, no assignment, and agent of record. These three things, and of course the ability to sell products without restriction, mean you're independent. You can do whatever you want. You're a business owner. You've got it yourself. Two more things you want to look at when you're getting contracts set up. Commission levels. Everyone looks at these. Everyone looks at these first, but honestly, I recommend looking at them about third or fourth. You want to make sure that you can get out of the contract before you start looking at what's going to lock you into it. Are your commission levels competitive? If you're first getting started, it can be difficult to know what commission levels are competitive. For instance, Americo. Is an 80% commission level with Americo competitive? Or is 115% with Americo competitive? With West Coast Life, should you be looking for 80% or should you be looking for 115%? It's difficult to know these kind of things when you're first getting started out as an agent. For instance, Americo's street level, and when we say street level, we're talking about the base commission level that you can get with no production requirements and no one vouching for you. Street level with Americo is 110%. Street level with West Coast Life is 80%. There's a big discrepancy in those two, and that's because of the different types of business each company serves and the different types of policies each company has. But you can see how with a wide range like that, it's difficult to know if your commission levels are competitive. That's one reason the ILIA exists. If you have a question about whether or not you're being offered a fair and competitive contract, shoot it over to us. We'll be happy to show you what street level is and what you can qualify for. The last thing you need to look out for are advances. Do you want advances? A lot of new agents say, yes, I got to have advances. I got to put money in the bank. When we say advance, what we're talking about is, do you want to get paid on premiums that have not yet been paid by the client yet? For example, a 6-month advance. Say you sell a $100 a month policy, and your commission on that particular policy is 100%. If you got paid as earned, every time the client paid a premium of $100, you'd get a commission check for $100 for the first year. On a 6-month advance, however, if you got paid, or as soon as the client puts in their first $100 premium, you'd get a commission check for the first 6 months of premium, $600 commission in that example. Now this sounds like a great deal up front, but what you've got to remember is that if the client cancels in the 2nd month, 3rd month, whatever, you're going to have to pay the unearned portion of that advance back. That means you can build up what's called a huge chargeback balance. Chargeback balances can eat into your future commissions, can wreak havoc with your budgeting. Some new agents, if this is your only stream of income and you've got to get started quickly, you may need to take an advance to begin with. And if that's the case, your goal should be to get off advances as quickly as possible. Advances are usually, like we said, either 6 or 9 months. It's getting more and more rare to find 9-month advances these days, just because the economy is tightening up a little bit. Usually you're going to find 6 months, and beware of chargebacks like we talked about. Chargebacks can really damage a new agent, especially if you're getting started selling final expense. Final expense is notorious for killing agents with chargebacks. One important thing to figure out, if you're getting an advance for a specific company, exactly who is advancing you? Is it the insurance company themselves paying you in advance, or is your IMO paying you in advance out of their own reserves? If the IMO is paying you in advance out of their own reserves, instead of the insurance company paying it directly, your IMO is probably going to require assignment. If you absolutely, positively, unquestionably have to take advances to get started, this is the only time that assignment is ever acceptable. But you need to remember, you need to have a provision that says, well, I can get out of assignment when I switch to as earned. And it should be your goal to go as earned in the insurance business as quickly as possible. That's the only way to build long-term wealth and stability, and it's the only way to keep you from trying to stay one step ahead of a chargeback balance the rest of your life. Alright, let's switch gears a little bit and talk about organization. A lot of new agents really discount this, but it's incredibly important to stay organized as an agent. When you first get started, a lot of agents will open up an Excel spreadsheet and say, this is where I'm keeping all my client information. I tried that at first. It took me about a week to want to kill myself. You're going to have so much information to track that you're going to quickly realize that you need some kind of reliable, updatable database that you can keep it all in. No matter what, you got to stay organized. You're going to have clients, you're going to have prospects, you're going to have follow-ups, you're going to have closings, you're going to have marketing methods to track, financials to track. There's a lot of things you need to track. What you need is what's called a client relationship manager, a CRM. It's a database that keeps track of your client information, includes a to-do list that tells you when you need to follow up with clients, includes information on did I close this client? If I close this client, how did I close this client? Lets you track how much money you've made, lets you track what marketing methods led to the creation of that wealth. That way you can tell what you're doing and what's effective, and what you need to duplicate, and what you're doing and it's not effective that you need to eliminate. In terms of a great CRM, at the ILIA, we recommend Your Insurance Office. It's Frank Stastny's program. You guys probably know him as the Medicare supplement guru of the world. Frank Stastny distributes that. It's normally $299 one-time cost. ILIA members can get that for $279, and it's an excellent, absolutely excellent CRM. It will keep you honest. It will allow you to track everything you need to track, and it will make you a more effective salesperson. If you're on a Mac like I am and you can't use Your Insurance Office, personally I use Bento. Bento is a Mac-specific database program that I've used to great success to track my clients, my client information, track my follow-ups, track my closing, track my marketing, track my everything. New agents tend to need quite a bit of support. When we talk about support, where are you going to go for your questions? Okay, if you're selling final expense, all right, $25,000 policy for a 55-year-old man. Not a lot of questions involved there. Generally, it's how much does it cost, when does the money come out, and how often does a client have to pay. Not a lot of questions. But once you evolve past that, once you move past final expense, how do I purchase a single premium immediate annuity in order to fund an irrevocable life insurance trust to help a client escape estate tax on wealth preservation from generation to generation? That's a little more complicated, and it's something you don't want to learn off a Google search. You need to have a support structure in place to go for that you can go to for these questions. Illustrations. When we talk about illustrations, we're talking about things that are a level beyond a quote. A simple quote shows you what the monthly premium for a policy is, but if you're dealing with whole life insurance or universal life insurance, illustrations are more complicated, more detailed quotes that show you how cash value builds, how interest rates affect the rate of cash value, what policy loans will do to a policy, etc., etc. Underwriting help. A lot of new agents, if you're just starting out there, okay, what carriers are friendly towards folks with high blood pressure controlled with medication? What carriers are friendly to clients with sleep apnea? You got a 77-year-old man, high blood pressure, tobacco use, cholesterol, and a prostate infection 3 years ago, cleared up with medication and a stable PSA. What carrier is going to be able to accept them? Your underwriting questions, you can do one of two things. You can call every company you've got directly, or if you have a support structure in place, you're going to be able to call up there, email there, and get your underwriting questions shopped for you. Reduces a lot of headache and overhead on your part. Training. If you're a new agent, looking for training can be a little bit difficult. You need to learn a lot of things as a new agent. How life insurance in general works, how individual products work, how individual companies work, what underwriting is, how life insurance can be used, how to market, how to sell, how to do everything. If it's a new venture for you, training can be very important. And finally, application support. If you put in an application, you need to know that it's getting to the right place, that it's been scrubbed properly, that all the requirements have been ordered, etc., etc. If you put in a faulty application and the policy never gets issued, you don't get the commission, the client doesn't get the coverage, and nobody wins. Generally, you're going to get this support from one of two or three places. Let's say three. One, you can have a mentor, someone who's brought you into the business themselves. They can help you out with this stuff. 2, your IMO. Most IMOs will promise training. Most IMOs will promise support. And honestly, most IMOs will end up falling short of what you need. You gotta remember, IMOs will recruit about 100 agents and get 10 that produce 99% of their income. They focus most of their attention on those 10 agents. If you're not quite at that level yet, you can fall between the cracks. So, shameless self-promotion for a moment if you guys will indulge me. This is the kind of support that the ILIA was created to provide. We provide this support because new agents are often left without it. They go with an IMO that offers top contracts. Okay, but there's no training, there's no support. Or they go with an IMO that offers leads and great support, but cuts the contracts down to 60%. When the support falls short, you're finding you're still making not that great commissions. So that's one reason that we're here, and that's one service we try to provide for our member agents. You can get that other places if your IMO promises it. Just be aware that this exists as a resource to you. Like we said, IMOs sometimes promise support, training, and leads, but what's the true cost of those leads? What's the true cost of that support and training? If your IMO is saying, okay, street level on this product is 100%, we're going to pay you 65%, and in return, we're going to give you leads, we're going to give you training, we're going to give you support. I can tell you from experience that that support and that training is going to be enough to get you out the door and sell a couple of policies, and you're going to need to learn on your own after that. And I can tell you from experience that if an IMO promises you free leads, well, they're about worth what you pay for them. There are horror stories out there. Free leads, yeah, here's a phone book, start calling. You need to really evaluate what the true cost of a lead is. If you sell a $100 a month policy on 100% commission, you make $100 a month. If you sell that same policy on a 65% commission, you make a $65 a month commission. In that example, that lead cost you $35. What about the ones you didn't close? Add that cost up, see how much money you stand to lose by cutting your commissions in exchange for free leads, and realize that, it's more cost effective to generate your own leads. It's more reliable to generate your own leads. And at the end of the day, if you can generate your own leads and make top commissions by not dealing with all that middleman stuff and moving up, don't promise me leads, don't promise me all this XYZ. Just give me a better contract, and you can generate your own leads. You're going to end up making quite a bit more money, and you're going to be more self-sufficient. A lot of new agents will go out and just grab their license and say, all right, I'm going to go sell insurance. But what you need to do really is sit down and you need to develop a solid business plan. What are you going to sell? If you're starting out, it's a good thing to do to try to kind of pick a niche to focus on at first. What are you going to sell? Are you going to try to sell mortgage protection insurance? The real estate market's a little shaky right now. Are you going to try to sell final expense? Good jumping off point, but it's something you want to use as just that, a jumping off point, so you can move into more complicated, more lucrative forms of insurance later. Personal term, you can do that, but realize you're going to have to work very hard to stay ahead of the game and make enough money to stay afloat. Figure out what you're going to sell, then figure out who you're going to sell it to. If you're selling final expense products, you're probably going to be talking to a lot of people between the ages of 50 and 80, household income of $15,000 to $50,000. If you're selling personal term insurance, you're probably going to be talking to married couples with a kid younger, between the ages of 35 and 50. Maybe homeowners, children at home getting ready to go to college. How are you going to sell it to them? Are you going to buy leads online? Are you going to do a direct mail? Are you going to get a dialer? Are you going to telemarket? Are you going to hire a telemarketer? There are many, many ways for you to reach your clients. We'll talk about those a little bit later on, but think about that. How are you going to sell it to them? How will your business grow? Do you want to be a final expense agent for the rest of your life? Do you want to take the money you're making on a final expense commission and pour that into more marketing? You need to be able to have a plan for your business to grow. If you're comfortable making $30,000 a year in insurance every year, eventually you'll hit a slump and things will start to go south. You need to have a plan in place for your business to grow. The commissions you make need to go in the beginning towards two things. One, paying your bills, and two, growing your business. Take the money you're making, allot it for marketing, and you're going to see your business grow exponentially. And lastly, how will your business evolve? You're going to start off offering final expense. You're going to start off also offering personal term, mortgage protection, whatever. But what do you want to do in the future? You need to have a plan for evolution in your business. Are you going to evolve past that? Are you going to move into estate planning? If you're starting off in mortgage protection, final expense is it's an easy jump to estate planning. Are you going to move into business planning, business continuity planning, buy-sell agreements, key person agreements? How will your business evolve and how will you evolve along with it? Marketing plan. How are you going to see the people? See the people is kind of the motto of the insurance industry. I'm sure you've all heard our buddy Mark Rosenthal use that on insuranceforums.net. See the people. Go out there, see clients, see people, prospect, and you'll make it. How will you generate leads? Lots of different ways to generate leads. We're going to talk about immediate, short-term, and long-term ways for lead generation in just a minute here. In fact, right now, immediate marketing. What are the immediate things you can do to generate leads as a new agent? First thing you can do is very easy, controlled business. When we say controlled business, we're talking about you, your family, your friends, people that you have not a business relationship necessarily with, but a very strong familial or friendship relationship with. You know, one trick a lot of agents will use to pump up their marketing capital in the beginning is go with a company like Assurity. Assurity non-med term, 20-year product has a 115% commission, and they'll give you a 6-month advance usually. Write a policy on yourself, write a policy on your wife, write a policy on your kid. Take 3 advances. Yeah, you're going to have to pay it back because you're going to have to pay your premiums over the course of the year and the years to come. But with the advance at a 115% commission level, it does provide you a little bit of marketing money to get the ball rolling. Not always the best thing to do, but it's an option for agents. So controlled business, writing yourself, writing your friends, writing your family. Your warm market. Where do you go on a daily basis? Are you a member of a church? Are you a member of a civic organization? Do you do volunteer work? Do you have a golf club that you go to quite frequently? People you know, people you trust, and people who know your name. Don't run up to them and say, hey, you want to buy some insurance because I just started doing this and I could really use a sale. If you bought some insurance, that would really make me happy. No. What you want to do in this kind of situation is, hey, what I've done, I've recently made a career change. I'm an insurance agent now, so I just wanted to let you know if you ever run into anybody who I can help with their insurance needs, send them my way. I'd really appreciate it. You don't want to be the guy that hard sells your family and friends at Thanksgiving dinner. Instead, you want to be the guy that people are comfortable sending business to. And then cross-selling for immediate marketing needs. If you've already got an existing book of P&C clients or an existing book of health insurance clients, go down and cross-sell them. Hey, this is Nick Perry with Georgia Insurance Options. I just want to let you know that I've recently expanded my insurance agency to include life insurance products as well, and I wanted to take a few minutes to sit down and see if I could help you out with those, just the same way I helped you out with your health insurance back in June. You have a few minutes to talk? It's easy. Just go down the list, sell yourself a couple of policies off a cross-sell, and get some marketing money in the bag. When you do that, you can move on to some short-term strategies. Now, I want to take a moment to mention, we say short-term strategies here, but these are not strategies that you want to try once and then ditch. All I'm saying is that these strategies will generate money fairly quickly, but they're worth sticking with for a long period of time. So, internet leads. You can purchase internet leads online. Go Google life insurance quote. When you do that, you're going to see something pop up. Put in your name, put in your date of birth, put in your phone number, and then duck, because you're going to get called by about 15 agents. What you just did is made yourself a shared lead. You can go to somewhere like insuranceleads.com, NetQuote, ASAP Quotes, whatever, and purchase these internet leads for anywhere between $12 and $45 a pop. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. Internet leads are a difficult, painful, and expensive way to make a living. Quality of internet leads over the past few years has declined dramatically, and I would even say over the past 6 or 7 months has dropped through the floor. If you try internet leads, you're going to find that the leads you're talking to are universally bombarded by calls by other agents, are oversold, might have faulty information, or might even, in the worst cases, be incentivized. And what we mean when we say incentivized leads, these aren't people who are looking for a help or for a life insurance quote. These are people who put their name, date of birth, whatever, in a life insurance quote form because some pop-up ad told them it would help them win a free iPod. So internet leads, you can make a little money off of them, but they're very difficult. They're almost to the point where I'm comfortable calling them a scam, and they're a short-term strategy in the sense that you can try them, but you don't ever want this to be your main method of marketing. If you're using internet leads, you need to have a backup plan. You need to have another way in the bag as well to generate clients. Direct mail. Direct mail works best for final expense. I've tried it personally for term insurance and for other types of life insurance, and I just can't get it to work. Final expense is where direct mail really shines. Final expense is one of your kind of bread and butter ways of generating final expense leads. So go with it. Through the ILIAA, you can get a 1,000-piece direct mailer for $335. Normally that'll cost you about $400 to $500 elsewhere, so it's a good deal if you're doing direct mail. If you want to generate some final expense leads, it's a great way to do it. It's a cheap way to do it through the association. With direct mail, what they're going to do, they're going to send just essentially large postcards out to clients, or out to prospects. Prospect will fill it out and send it back, and then they'll send it to you. When you get it, you call the prospect and say, hey, I got this card in the mail with your name on it. It says you want a final expense quote. I've got it for you. Let's schedule an appointment. How about I come out to your house tomorrow? I got an appointment at 10 and I got an appointment slot at 3. Which one works for you? Go out to the house, meet them, talk with them, write yourself an application, go submit it, and make yourself some money. It's not as foolproof as that, really. Direct mail, if you send out 1,000 pieces, you're going to close between 4 and 8 sales, generally. Might be a little bit less, might be a little bit more. But the average is between 4 and 8. Telemarketing. Pick up the Mojo Dialer. The Mojo Dialer is a predictive dialer. And what that means is you put a list of names and phone numbers in there and it'll dial 3 lines at one time. When someone picks up, it'll drop the other 2 and connects you with the one that picked up. It's awesome. It burns through all those bad numbers, disconnected numbers, no one's at home, voicemails, endless rings, whatever that you get when you buy a data list. Go on the Mojo Dialer, get on there, start cold calling. They call it dialing for dollars. It's kind of grueling, it's hard work, but it will generate money for you, and there are folks that make a solid living just cold calling. Through the association, the Mojo Dialer costs $95 a month. If you purchase it just as an individual, it's going to cost $150 a month, so just be aware of that as well. Data lists, we've got a couple of data list sources that we like and trust, but you can get data from pretty much anywhere these days. Big thing to look out for is to make sure that your data is scrubbed against the do not call list. If you call somebody who is on the do not call list and they decide to raise a fit about it, you're going to get hit with an $11,000 fine, and that can put you out of business really quickly. And then lastly, last short-term strategy is telemarketed leads. This can mean 2 different things. Telemarketed leads can be a telemarketer calls a lead, is cold calling for you, generates a lead, and sends you an email with that client's information for you to call, or they transfer it to you directly. In that case, what you're doing is essentially the same thing as internet leads without the oversold, overshared aspect of it. Telemarketed leads tend to work fairly well, but they also tend to be kind of pricey, so be aware of that. The other type of telemarketing lead is telemarketed appointments. And this is when a telemarketer will call potential prospects, usually final expense prospects, set appointments for you. You give them a time frame that you're available, and they'll set back-to-back-to-back appointments for you in that time frame. If you're going with a company like that, you want to make a very small order to begin with because you can easily get raked over the coals there. You can easily lose money on that. Make sure in either event that you and the company both agree on what a lead is. A lead should be someone who is qualified. That means they're healthy enough, and financially well off enough to purchase insurance. Interested? That means they want to buy the insurance. They're not just, well, okay, you can drop off information, but then I want you the heck out of my house. No, they actually want to sit down and talk about and possibly purchase insurance. And reachable. The contact information's got to be good. They've got to be able to pick up the phone, answer the door, or respond to your email. Longer term strategies. These are not going to generate business for you right away. These are going to generate business for you six months to a year down the line. But they're absolutely great ways for you to build your business in the future. Networking. Join your Chamber of Commerce. Join various networking groups you guys have around town. I know here in Atlanta you can't throw a rock without hitting 2 or 3 networking groups. Join open networking groups. Go there, let your face start getting seen, let your personality start being known, and by the time that you feel more comfortable in the business and able to accept these referrals and able to accept referrals from business folks who are ready, willing, and able to have you help them, you'll have kind of your feet under you. You'll be studied and you'll be experienced enough to feel comfortable doing it. Referral groups. When I say referral groups, I'm specifically talking about closed networking groups. These are things like BNI or PowerCore, Referrals for Life, groups that have specific seats for professions, and there are no competing professions. So, for instance, you wouldn't have 2 life insurance agents in one referral group. These groups exist solely for the purpose of passing referrals back and forth to one another. This is a long-term strategy for 2 reasons. One, you got to get in one of these groups and build trust before you're actually going to see any significant amount of business out of it. 2, it's going to take you a while to find a closed networking group. There are a lot of insurance agents out there, and believe me, I've been looking for a closed networking group in Atlanta for quite some time now, to the point where I'm going to start my own fairly soon. It's difficult to find a closed networking group with an open seat for a life insurance agent. Referral gathering. When you're talking to a client, you've got them to get their wallet out, you've got them to sign the application. You should have made them happy. They're happy about the insurance they've purchased, they're excited. They're like, oh, it's like a weight off my mind. I've got this policy taken care of. This is great. That's awesome. Now it's time for you to gather a referral. They're happy with you. They're happy with the service you provided. They're happy with the policy you provided. Now, who else can you help? Gather referrals from your clients. We've got hours and hours of training about referral gathering, referral techniques, and all that, but it all really boils down to 1 or 2 things. You have to assume that the person has a referral to give. Never ask, so do you know anybody else that I could help with? So, off the top of your head, I mean, can you come up with anyone that I might be able to assist with life insurance? No. Always assume. So who do you know that I can help with their life insurance needs like I've helped you? Who do you know in your community that I can help with their final expense life insurance? Who do you know from church? Who do you know from work? Who do you know from here? Who do you know from there? Be very specific, kind of drill it down, and always say who do you know, not do you know. You'll find that assuming the referral gathers you quite a few, and eventually you're going to build up to the point where you can take kind of your prospecting, cold calling, internet leads, direct mail can start slowly taking a back seat to you working referrals, and that's a great place to be. And then lastly, strategic alliances. Hook up with attorneys, accountants, P&C agents, health agents, folks in your area that you can refer business to and who can refer business to you. You're going to find that early on in your career, it's going to be very difficult to do this. You don't really have a solid foundation yet. You don't really have much to offer somebody else. But as you gather experience, as you gather clients, and you can refer business to other people, you'll find that they'll become more and more willing to ally with you and refer business back to you. Alright, we're going to talk about some things that a new agent needs to have. These are the real new agent essentials. We talked about contracts and planning, organizational tools. These are the things that you're going to actually have to get your wallet out and pay some money for. There's a real low cost to entry in insurance. You got to pay for your licensing course, you got to pay for your license, and you got to pay for a couple of office products and a couple of little prospecting tools. Beyond that, it doesn't cost a lot to be an insurance agent. So these are the things that you absolutely have got to have as an insurance agent. A home computer. I think we're all set on that because we're all on a virtual webinar over the computer. But I say this because a lot of agents will ask me, well, I'm thinking about buying a $2,000 laptop to go out in the field and run quotes at clients' homes. You don't need that to start off with. Honestly, you don't need that to finish up with. Uh, a home computer is going to do you just fine. You don't have to worry about buying a fancy laptop to go out and run quotes at your client's house. The reason for that is twofold. One, it's a lot of money to start off spending. Two, you never want to rely on technology at a client's house. You don't know if their internet's down. You don't know if they even have wireless internet. You don't know if the site's going to be down once you get there. If you base your entire sales presentation around a quote engine working at a client's home, you eventually are going to set yourself up for disappointment. Always bring a paper backup, even if you do bring electronic media. You need to have a phone with an unlimited number of minutes. It can be a landline, it can be a cell phone, it can be whatever you want. Just have a phone that you can turn on at 9 in the morning, turn off at 6 in the evening, and talk on it all day throughout that period without going over your minutes. You need an unlimited phone plan. You're going to be on the phone a lot. Trust me, I'm on the phone now more often than not. You're going to run out of minutes very quickly if you don't have this. You need an email address, and again, I think we're all clear on this one just because we're all on a virtual webinar and I sent an email invitation to you guys. But what does your email address say? If your email address is sexybeast3424@yahoo.com, you don't want to sell insurance off that address. It's not going to make you look very professional. At the very least, get something professional like georgiainsurance@gmail.com, and that's an absolute minimum. Really what you should be doing is registering your own domain to build a website on. And that's another long-term strategy that we didn't talk about because we're going to kind of put it off for a few minutes, but building a website. Register a domain and have yourself, like for instance, my retail address is nick@georgiainsuranceoptions.com. That's my own website, my own domain, and it looks professional. It looks much more professional than having a Yahoo or Gmail account. A quote engine. I kind of went back and forth. I deleted this, but then I put it back on as an essential. In the end of the day, I really do think it's essential because as a new agent, you can get kind of sucked into the trap of having one or two go-to companies that you really like. I know when I first started, I was going to put everybody with West Coast Life. West Coast Life is cheap. Their underwriting is great. I'm just going to put everybody there. I lost a lot of business, and I wouldn't have lost that business if I'd had a comparative quote engine. Because I can run a quote now and realize that there are sometimes when Transamerica is cheaper, there are sometimes when Banner is cheaper, sometimes when Genworth is cheaper, and I was getting undercut on a regular basis. Now, if you have a quote engine like CompuLife, you can run a quote for your client. You can see not only what your favorite companies are going to cost, but what maybe the cheaper companies are going to cost, and you can prevent yourself from being undercut by other agents. Just as an aside, if you want to use CompuLife, ILIA subscription does come with access to the ILIA's CompuLife platform, so you don't have to buy CompuLife separately. You can log into the ILIA website and run quotes off of CompuLife on our site. You're going to need a reliable form of transportation. If all you have is a 1962 Yugo, I don't even know if they made Yugos in 1962, but whatever, you're going to need to start looking at maybe purchasing a more reliable form of transportation. You need to have something that can reliably get you to a client's home and back, reliably get you to networking events and back. It reflects very poorly on you as an agent if you take the bus to your client's location. Now, and speaking of your vehicle, it's a good idea to keep your vehicle. A lot of agents don't do this, but it's a good idea to keep your vehicle absolutely as clean as possible. You don't want to drive around looking like you're driving a beater. Take the time to run your car through a car wash, have some respect for yourself, have some respect, and try to be professional throughout. Show up at your client's front door in a dusty car with a donut spare tire on, and they're going to know exactly how much care you take of things. And they're not going to trust you as much to take care of you. It's a shallow thing to say, I know, but it's the truth. And we've talked about this already, but you're going to need a CRM as well. A CRM, Client Relationship Manager, something to keep track of your clients, something to keep yourself organized. For essential marketing products, you're going to want some business cards. Business cards are not absolutely vital that you have these the first day you're in business. But if you're going to networking events, if you're a member of the Chamber of Commerce, if you're going to a closed networking group, you're going to need business cards. People are going to expect you to have them. If you don't have them, they're not going to take you as seriously. Having a website is kind of essential as well. You can build your own website through WordPress or through a private designer, or you can have somebody else build it for you. Through the association, we always recommend Tanisha Ryan, trwebwizard.com. Association members get $50 off her website packages. She does an excellent job. A website is not going to generate business for you right away, but it's going to generate business for you 6, 7, 8 months down the line. And when it does, it's going to do it in such a way that you don't have to put a whole lot of effort into that prospecting. It's just like a little steady flow of free business on the side, which is pretty cool. Your website is also, you're going to host your website on whatever domain you register. Whatever domain you register is going to be the end of your email address. So it kind of ties in with each other and gives you a full professional branded appearance. You're also going to need some marketing capital. You'll notice that we talked about buying the Mojo Dialer and buying a data list, doing a direct mailer, going out and joining BNI. A lot of the things we talked about in terms of marketing cost money. Even the quote-unquote free forms of marketing cost some money. If you're going business to business, you got to have flyers. If you're going door to door, you got to have flyers. If you're cold calling, you got to buy a do not call scrub data list. Everything costs something. You got to have a little bit of marketing capital put away in order to get started. Good rule of thumb, you need a couple $100 a month for the first 3 or 4 months until you can really get rolling. And you need money put back to pay your bills the first couple of months. Remember, it can take a while for commissions to roll in, especially on fully underwritten policies. This is a good time to talk about the fact that a lot of new agents get sucked in with the promises of you're going to make a 7-figure income in your first year. No matter what you do, you're going to make 7 figures. However much you make in your first year truly is up to you. Making 7 figures is a little unrealistic, but it's not entirely unheard of for an agent to make $100,000 in their first year. It's up to you, though. It's up to the amount of time and money you're willing to invest in your business. It's up to you. It's not, a lot of agencies do what they call selling the dream. Sell the dream of the 6-figure income. Sit down with your insurance products and you're going to make it. It's not like that. Work hard and you've got a shot. I know when I first started, I probably worked 65 hours a week. It took a lot of effort. It took a lot of work. And I can tell you that I probably quit at least twice a day that first couple of months I was in business. Get through it. Work hard. Prospect hard. Every hour of your day should be dedicated to one of two things. Either selling insurance to a person you've already found or finding a person to sell insurance to. If you can do that for 18 months solid, you'll build up enough of a book of business that you can relax just a little bit and start living a little bit off referrals and start gearing yourself a little bit away from prospecting 24/7. Alright, sorry for that kind of digression, but the other essentials you're going to need, you're going to be out marketing, at these networking groups, and you're also going to be going to clients' homes, so you don't want to look like a schmuck. You want to get at least one nice suit. Ladies get a pantsuit or a blouse and dress or whatever. One nice outfit that you would be comfortable sitting down in front of a business owner wearing. Aside from that, you want to have 3 nicer, not full suits, but outfits to wear, marketing event or to networking events, to clients' homes where you wouldn't feel it's appropriate to wear a suit. When we say nice outfit, slacks and a polo, slacks and a button-down shirt. Um, something you would feel comfortable going to somebody else's home wearing. The last and most absolutely essential thing a new agent will need is errors and omissions insurance. Errors and omissions insurance exists to protect you if you screw up. If you as an agent sell a client the wrong product and completely mess up and it's a universal life policy and it implodes right before they pass away and you never told them that it could do that, you can be sued. You can be sued big time. Errors and omissions insurance is a type of professional liability insurance for insurance agents that protects you against the mistakes that you can potentially make. A lot of carriers will require E&O insurance to actually get appointed in the first place. Some won't, but even the ones that won't, you should have it. It's really very necessary. Alright, so a timeline for a new agent. You need to develop the business and marketing plans we talked about. Get licensed. I'm fairly certain most of the folks on the call have already been licensed. They've already got a plan in place. Initial contracting. We talked about how to find good contracts, how to find a good IMO to work with, what a good contract is, and how to figure out if you're getting a fair deal. Then you start studying. After you've contracted, you're going to get product brochures, you're going to get access to carrier websites, you're going to start learning. You're going to find out all of a sudden that you don't know how much you don't know about the insurance industry, and that's when the study is really important. Take advantage of training resources like the ILIA. Take advantage of public forums like insuranceforums.net if you can sift through the bad information there. Study your product brochures. Study your underwriting guidelines. Read everything you can about insurance. New agents don't do this, and that's why the new agent washout rate is above 90%. Think about that. The new agent washout rate is above 90%. That means more than 90% of agents who go out and get their license this year will not have a license 5 years from now. They won't be in the business any longer. It's absolutely, positively vital that you study and stay ahead of the curve. It's the only way to prevent yourself from washing out. Start your marketing. We've talked about a lot of different ways to market today. You can't do them all at once. You'd go broke if you try to do them all at once. But pick one or two and give it a shot. Track your results, tweak and repeat. Eliminate the activities that aren't profitable, duplicate the activities that are. Marketing is going to lead you to qualified prospects, and it's going to get you a couple of sales. And then it's just market. It's study, market, and sell. Study, market, and sell. Study, market, and sell until the end of time. There are a couple of great books that I think new agents should all be required to read. It really should be required reading for new agents, these three. Number one, The Magic of Thinking Big by David Schwartz. And this book is really going to teach you that when you're out there, if you always think of yourself as the $30,000 a year life insurance agent, you're always going to be the $30,000 a year life insurance agent. If you want to become the $5 million a year life insurance agent, then you've got to think about yourself as someone who is going to become the $5 million a year life insurance agent. Think big, think huge, and you'll make it there. Frank Bettcher's book, How I Raised Myself from Failure to Success in Selling, is the absolute best book I have ever read on life insurance sales. Frank Bettcher sold life insurance back in the very early 1900s, was a minor league baseball player, just was a complete failure as a salesman until he changed a few very small but very key things about his sales presentations and became one of the most successful life insurance salesmen of all time. Lastly, I didn't enjoy this book as much as many folks have, but enough folks have recommended it back to me that I'll recommend it to you guys, and it's The Dip by Seth Godin. This book will teach you how, when things look like they're really down, when business is down, when you get frustrated, how to break through that, how to break through the dip and get back up to the upswing. These three books are absolute essentials. Okay, and that'll wrap up the bulk of the presentation, New Agent Essentials. We're going to go on and move it into the question and answer session. So if you have any questions, please hit *6 on your phone to unmute yourself, or type your questions out in the lower right-hand side of your chat pane down on the right-hand side.